Unit Quadratics, chapter here, Basic Graphing. So we're going to be graphing quadratics, which is something completely different than what we've done before. And to start, I thought maybe we would do apparently 4 questions graphing linear functions. Now linear functions is, you can see there the words in it, linear functions are lines. So we've done this, I can't remember if it's grade 9 or grade 10. So we're graphing lines. And that's going to be our review, just to kind of remember how to do this stuff. And then we'll go into graphing quadratics and solving quadratics and what is a quadratic, all those sort of things. So first, we need to remember how to do these things. Maybe you want to write over to the side here, y equals mx plus b. That's generally how we learn things. Graphing these lines. And we have a slope, and that slope is going to be m. It is the number in front of the x. In this case, it's 2. Now, I like to write it as a fraction, so I'm going to write 2 over 1. And that means we're going to rise 2 and we're going to run 1. And when you rise, rising a positive 2 would mean going up. Rising a negative 2 would be heading down. And then if you're going to run, a positive 1 would be right, and a negative 1 would be left. So basically, we're going up 2 because it's a positive 2, and 1 right because it's a positive 1. And the b is the one without the x, and that b is negative 3. That is our y-intercept. And so that's where we cross the y-axis. So that's the y, this is the y-axis, and so we're crossing it at negative 3. So here's this, 1, 2, 3 in the negative direction. So that's our starting point, and then we need to rise from here up to 1 to the right. Up to 1 to the right. Up to 1 to the right. And then we can also work backwards down to 1 to the left. So you see I did opposite. Instead of going up, I went down. Instead of going right, I went left. And that's okay. I'm keeping with the pattern here. Then you can connect the dots in a much nicer way than what I just did there. That is our first line that we've graphed. Pretty straightforward. Start with the y-intercept. That was the green one. And then do the slope. So here our starting point, our y-intercept, would be 6. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. My slope, my m, is going to be negative 3. Now I like to write that as a fraction, so I'm going to put negative 3 over 1. And this is our rise, and this is our run. So if you're going to rise negative 3, that means we're going to head down. And then we're going to run, it's a positive 1. I didn't write a plus 1 because you don't need to write the positive symbol. It just is a positive 1, so that's going to be going to the right. So if we're running in a positive direction, that is right. And if we're rising in the negative direction, that's down. So we're going to go down 3. 1, 2, 3 to the right 1. Down 1, 2, 3 to the right 1. And we're going to keep going until we basically kind of go off the graph here. There we go. I could go opposite, so up 3, 1 to the left, but that's off the graph, but that is possible. And then you can draw a line, connect the dots, you can add some arrows at the end. I went obviously a little aggressive there, shooting off through the equation, but whatever. So, moving on, y equals negative 2. So our b value is the one without the x. I don't see an x, so negative 2 is where we start. 1, 2. That is our b value. Now our m is the number in front of the x, but there is no x. And that's because our m is 0. 0 would have made the x disappear. 0 times anything is 0, and we just don't even need to write it. That means that our slope is 0. So we have a line with a slope that is 0. And it goes through our starting point, which is negative 2. So the negative 2 b value, that stayed the same, but our slope was 0. So that one was a little bit different. Now you could have written this, by the way, and I wouldn't, because I'm trying my best to trick you, but you could have written this as 0x minus 2. That might be something that is helpful to you. Again, that 0 times x is a 0, and that would cause it to disappear. But if you want to stick to the pattern, because you like patterns and you like to have the same rhythm through all of these questions, this would be one that would match. Now, this one, 3x, I'm going to give myself some more room here. 3x minus 6y equals 12. Now, this would be nice if y was alone. If you notice in all the other three equations, it's y equals. We don't have that here. So 3x is a term. We're going to take this term and we're going to subtract it over to the other side. Here's my equal sign. So I got a negative 6y equals, these are not like terms. One has an x, one doesn't. So I'm going to leave them separated. So a negative 3x and a positive 12. Notice I wrote the x first, the negative 3x. And that's because all of these questions, it's y equals mx plus b, the 3x, the 2x, those come first. So that's kind of why I did that. Next, I need to divide by negative 6. And so I'm going to do that to every single one of these. So I have y equals negative 3 over negative 6. That's the same as a half. So a half x. And 12 divided by negative 6 is negative 2. So that is our equation. And I'll give you a minute if you need to just pause this here. Obviously not a minute. That would be way too drastic. I'm going to erase that line. Okay, so I need to graph this. So our b value is negative 2. 1, 2, so there's negative 2 on our y-axis. And our slope is 1 over 2. Now that's rise over run. And they're both positive, so a positive rise would be up, and a positive run would be right. So I need to go up 1, 2, right. Up 1, 2, right. Up 1, 2, right. Up 1, 2, right. And now I need to do the opposite. So down 1, 2, left. Down 1, 2, left. Down 1, 2, left. Connect the dots. It's not actually that bad. With a straight line, if you have a ruler, that'd be great. Use your phone. Use your beard comb. I don't know what you have. So something to draw a straight line. You can add some arrows on the end. So there we go. This is what we have. I'll zoom out here. There we go. And just a reminder, that's just us reviewing how to actually do graphs. We will get into graphing quadratics kind of after we learn a little bit more about them.